Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a look at the Devs in the Tavern video just released earlier this morning. Some more details on Season 6, the Rings of Power, Kings of Men. So if you don't keep up with the main Discord or the main Rise to War, they have an actual YouTube channel themselves where they post videos like this called Devs in the Tavern, where they go through and give us a little bit more detail or at least specific in-game looks at a few of the things we can expect for the new season. It seems like we usually don't have the exact understanding of things until the actual season gets here, but it gives us a little bit more direction on what we can expect. Prior to these videos coming out, there's usually posts in the Revelations channel in Discord, which are a lot more cryptic and puzzles, and it gives us a little bit, but these kind of flesh out some of those posts that we have in the game. So I've got a picture of every in-game screenshot or like title screen they use like this. So we can go through those and see. So if you haven't watched the video, you can still watch that if you'd like to hear what they said. But it's like a 2-minute video where they just go through and explain some of the new things that you can see in Season 6. So starting out, obviously the title's going to be called, or the campaign's going to be called, The Rings of Power, Kings of Men. And basically we have them in their studio, and Saruman is in their studio, and he's the one giving them this information, which again, it's pretty cheesy, but I mean, like, at least they're doing something. Like, they're not afraid to like try and like have fun with it. I don't know. It kind of makes me laugh, but it could be worse. So anyway, Saruman tells us that there are these rings of power. Again, if you want to pause and read through what all these things are, some of them say certain different things, like a long lost hidden ring of a certain kingdom. This gem represents harmony and hospitality. They all seem pretty generic or general, so I don't think they're really meant to represent anything crazy. There is 8 here, so again, this could just be just for this picture. They're doing 8. There could definitely be a 9th if they're going with the 9 rings given to men. But then if we go over here, you can see that there are different locations on the map that where the rings go in the video. They go to these specific locations. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, could be an 8th, could just be doing 9. And they have different locations. Some are current capitals, some are not current capitals, and then some are new areas, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But basically the whole point of this campaign is that there are no factions, there are no sides like good versus evil. There are just these rings of power around the map that you're going to try and capture and build kingdoms, from my understanding. So in fact, specifically in the video, they say that you need a ring of power to establish a kingdom. So from what I understand and what we're going to go over in a second, it appears that you need to capture zones and regions to then capture a ring or gain control of it, which then I think sort of will act as kind of a kingdom or faction. But starting out, there are no factions, there's no sides, from what they say. Then we get into some details about how it works when they're talking about there being no factions. There isn't, again, these are all custom flags that you can make here. So I imagine you can make them look like any of the ones that you want to. But as you can see, it's kind of, it can be a blank canvas here. You've got different faction stickers, and there might be ones that are different than the faction ones we have as well. I don't know. But again, you can make your own flag for your group to represent whoever you want to. And then it talks about the diplomatic and just the different diplomatic relations and policies. Talks about how you can implement these kingdom administrators, which is a screen we're looking at here. And so you can choose, I believe, within your group, a kingdom administrator to act as some kind of diplomat. Again, it's hard to say for sure what it's going to look like, but this is a screen of what we have here, where you can pick someone to represent. There's the kingdom ring here and diplomacy here on the table. Then we have a picture here that looks to highlight some kind of united faction feature, kind of more in depth. Again, you can see some of these flags back here are not 100% like normal flags, they're custom ones. But it looks like a more in-depth feature for united factions, where you can see multiple allies instead of just having one united faction. There might be multiple allies, and even you can see here, you can click on someone and choose if they're an enemy or an ally from what it looks like. So sort of, to me, it looks like they're putting more features in the game that are going to kind of prevent like shady Diplo stuff happening, which honestly, I've heard both sides. I've heard people want united factions gone completely, because the united faction kind of removes that, like, the ability to like be deceptive. And I get it, that's kind of a way to play. It's not my personal forte, but using the Diplo and the conversation as a weapon it is definitely a tactic. So I think united factions limit what you can do or get away with. So this is going to go further in that direction, where you really from what it looks like, locking in with people in some sort of an alliance. So I think that'll be nice. I don't prefer the kind of back and forth or like double crossing or whatever, but I get that it's a tactic and some people enjoy trying to do that. But again, it's a game. We're in the 6th season. If you're like known for doing that, usually people do that and aren't going to trust you in future seasons anyway. So I think it's a weird line to walk, but I think I'm fine with this. So again, that is the kind of alliance feature from what it looks like here. Then we get to the portion talking about the new Middle Earth, which is the map expansion. It's not huge, but it's something, and I'll show you a comparison to what we have now. But as you saw back in the picture, we'll step back just a little bit. As you saw here, there were 2 rings further south in the map than we have access to in Hyderabad and Umbar. And so those are 2 areas down there that are on the map but not accessible right now. And so if we go back here, you'll see the ring here in Hyderabad and then Umbar. And just to show you in comparison, we do have Khand, and I believe this is Harandor here. Usually I believe the line is right here, so just keep that in mind. Like, we've got this little island right here, this little opening where between the land here or whatever. So if I go over, you can see that right here, this is that little opening, and I'll move up here. This is that little island right there. So you can see the difference. If I go back to this one, that we now have this kind of significant chunk of land available for us. One note they do make about the season and really the map in general is that the kingdoms, or the whatever areas you want to call them, are more spread out than usual. And they make a point to say that you'll have to kind of get by on your own for a longer period of time. So I think they're wanting less I don't want to say inner faction mingling, because they're saying no factions, no side, but I think they're wanting like a lot to happen kind of with your kingdom and your group or whatever before you start getting involved with like everyone on the whole map. So it seems like from their words, things are more spread out. So we'll see how that actually ends up looking. Another very interesting point here as they talk about the different regions on the map. And then the next thing they say is that they're actually going to be splitting them into zones. So we have regions, and then they're going to go to zone. I think they said there's 90 regions. Yeah, there's 90 regions, but they're going to get split up into zones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, they may not all have the same amount of zones, but there's going to be smaller areas that you can control within regions, which is going to get pretty intense, I feel like. But there are going to be zones you can control in regions, and we have these new things called scout towers. And they said that you need all scout towers to unify zones in a region. So I would assume, I don't know if it'll be every single one, but I would assume based on this picture that there is a scout tower in each of these 7 zones. And if your kingdom controls every zone, you then control the region. So if that's the case, they're sort of changing up just the standard capture 1 fortress, get this territory. It seems like they are going to bring in this scout tower feature, which again could just be like 7 small keeps. I don't know. Maybe it'll just end up making things very repetitive. But it's kind of interesting. So my thought is that maybe there's going to be more like micro battles and things happening in different regions and in different zones to control areas. But again, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know if they're going to try and change group size anymore, because to me this seems like something that, you know, would really make sense for smaller groups to like be moving through zones instead of region. Because again, if you have a group of 100 taking an entire region, that's one thing. But if you split it up into sevenths, then you know that could be equivalent to about a group of less than 20. And so my wonder is if they're trying to create a way for smaller groups to still have success and do stuff and contest. Are they going to just completely rework the group size again? Before there was no real limit or huge rules with what you could do. They did bag in. They've implemented the 100 players that can go into bag in, that can go into servers. So I'm wondering if this will change with that. But again, we'll see what that ends up looking like. But that's kind of it for now. That's all we have. Again, I'm not familiar with a ton of other war games at all. I've just heard about them. I think of Rise of Kingdoms when I hear about this. I think just because it has the word kingdom in it. So I don't know, for those who have played that, how similar this sounds. In fact, I know that usually in Rise of Kingdoms, you start in your own server like all together, and then after that, you go fight other kingdoms, I believe. So I think we're still all starting in one map, which is different. But we are going to have some different mechanics that I think might swing a little bit closer to that. So that is that. And then, like I said, there's going to be more videos. This is their end screen here. They do say stay tuned for the following episodes. There's Exploring Middle-earth with Saruman, interactive map update, and then The Birth of a Kingdom, new campaign, Rings of Power. So we're going to get two different videos, one interactive map update and one maybe like an animated like story to like kind of showing us what this could look like. So we'll see. But again, that's all of that. That is the Rings of Power, Kings of Men. Let me know what you think down below. Again, we speculated about some of this stuff. There's still some stuff we speculated about that we aren't sure. So let me know if some things have clicked for you, what you think about the new campaign. Are you going to be playing? Are you going to be going back to an old season? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. But that's going to do it for me in this one, and I'll see you all in a future video.